The Galactic Border Patrol Station was quiet. Just another routine night in deep space. Officer Ralvik leaned back in his chair, watching the holographic displays flicker with real-time data from thousands of probes and satellites scattered across the border. Everything seemed normal, until a sharp, urgent beep shattered the silence. Ralvik sat up straight. The alarm was flashing red, a distress signal detected from an unknown source. His fingers flew over the console, running scans and analyzing the incoming transmission. The signal wasn't from any known alien faction. It was something new. He activated the ship's intercom. "Commander Vekran, we have a situation." Within seconds, Commander Vekran entered the control room, his expression hard and focused. "Report." Ralvik pointed to the screen. "Sir, an unidentified warship is approaching the border at high speed. We just picked up a distress signal. No known encryption, no response to our hails." Vekran's eyes narrowed. "How fast is it moving?" Ralvik checked the readings. "Faster than anything we've seen before. It will reach our sector in less than an hour." The room fell silent. This wasn't normal. Ships traveling at that speed usually belonged to highly advanced species, and none of them were supposed to be anywhere near Galactic Council space. "What do the scans show?" Vekran asked. Ralvik hesitated. "That's the strange part, sir. The ship's hull isn't made of any known metal in our database. Its energy readings are off the charts." Vekran's face darkened. This was bad. The emergency meeting. Within minutes, an emergency transmission was sent to the Galactic Council. The leaders of the most powerful alien species gathered via hologram, their faces reflecting concern, curiosity, and fear. The Supreme Chancellor of the Council, a reptilian elder named Salarath, leaned forward. "Commander Vekran, explain why you called this meeting." Vekran saluted. "We have an unidentified warship approaching our borders. It is fast, heavily armed, and made from unknown materials." Murmurs broke out among the council members. A four-eyed senator from the Accelerary Empire scoffed. "A single warship? Why are we panicking over this?" Vekran took a deep breath. "Because its technology is beyond anything we've encountered. Asterisk, 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 and..." He added, "We believe it belongs to humans." The room fell dead silent. The fear of humanity. The mention of humans sent waves of unease through the council. No one had seen humans in over a century. The last recorded encounter with humanity was brief but unforgettable. Back then, humans were a young species, expanding into the stars with reckless curiosity. They were thought to be primitive, but their intelligence, adaptability, and sheer aggression had terrified even the strongest empires. And then, without warning, they vanished. For the past 100 years, no one had heard from humanity. Some believed they had destroyed themselves. Others thought they had gone into hiding. But now, a human warship was heading straight for them, preparing for the unknown. "We must stop it before it crosses into our territory," a council member shouted. "No," another argued. "We don't know why they're coming. Maybe it's not an attack." Chancellor Galrath raised a clawed hand. "Enough. We will not jump to conclusions." He turned to Vekran. "Commander, intercept the vessel. Do not engage unless provoked." Vekran nodded. "Understood." As the meeting ended, one question lingered in everyone's minds. Had humanity returned as allies or as conquerors? The Galactic Border Patrol fleet moved into position, their sleek ships forming a defensive wall along the outer edges of Council territory. Energy shields powered up, weapons charged, and targeting systems locked onto the mysterious warship. Inside the command ship, Commander Vekran stood at the center of the bridge, watching the tactical display. The unknown warship was still approaching at high speed, too fast for a diplomatic visit. "Hail them again," Vekran ordered. Lieutenant Ralvik tapped a few commands. "Unknown vessel, this is Galactic Border Control. You are entering restricted space. Identify yourself immediately." Silence. "Still no response, sir." Vecran's jaw tightened. This was not a good sign. If they don't slow down in the next 5 minutes, we will be forced to take action. The tension on the bridge was heavy. Was this a first strike, a scouting mission, or something else entirely? The warship grew larger on the display. Its sleek, dark hull reflected almost no light. It didn't match any known design in the galactic database. But deep down, Vecran knew the truth. This was human. First contact, or first strike. The fleet moved forward, ready to intercept. Vecran gave the order. Fire a warning shot. Let's see if they respond. A bright plasma beam shot out from the lead interceptor, flashing just ahead of the human warship. The energy distorted space for a moment before disappearing into the void. For the first time, the human ship reacted. Its engines flared, shifting position slightly. But it didn't stop. Instead, it slowed down, just enough to make the fleet hesitate. "Sir," they adjusted course, Ralvik said. Vecran narrowed his eyes. "They're watching us, studying how we react." A chill ran down the spines of everyone on the bridge. Who was really in control here? The human ship speaks. Then, suddenly, a transmission came through. A deep, calm voice echoed through the bridge speakers. "Galactic Fleet, this is Captain Darius Cole of the UHS Vengeance. Do not interfere. We are not here for war. Unless you force us." The crew froze. A human. A real, living human. Commander Vecran quickly signaled to respond. "Captain Cole, you are violating Council space. Explain your presence immediately." A short silence. Then, Cole spoke again. "This is your only warning. Do not block our path." The transmission cut off. A deep tension filled the air. The human warship was still coming, its weapons still offline, but its presence alone was an undeniable show of force. The question remained, why were they here? And what would happen next? The Galactic Border Patrol fleet moved into position, their sleek ships forming a defensive wall along the outer edges of Council territory. Energy shields powered up, weapons charged, and targeting systems locked onto the mysterious warship. Inside the command ship, Commander Vecran stood at the center of the bridge, watching the tactical display. The unknown warship was still approaching at high speed, too fast for a diplomatic visit. "Hail them again," Vecran ordered. Lieutenant Ralvik tapped a few commands. "Unknown vessel, this is Galactic Border Control. You are entering restricted space. Identify yourself immediately." Silence. Still no response. "Sir." Vecran's jaw tightened. This was not a good sign. If they don't slow down in the next 5 minutes, we will be forced to take action. The tension on the bridge was heavy. Was this a first strike, a scouting mission, or something else entirely? The warship grew larger on the display. Its sleek, dark hull reflected almost no light. It didn't match any known design in the galactic database. But deep down, Vecran knew the truth. This was human. First contact, or first strike. The fleet moved forward, ready to intercept. Vecran gave the order. "Fire a warning shot. Let's see if they respond." A bright plasma beam shot out from the lead interceptor, flashing just ahead of the human warship. The energy distorted space for a moment before disappearing into the void. For the first time, the human ship reacted. Its engines flared, shifting position slightly. But it didn't stop. Instead, it slowed down, just enough to make the fleet hesitate. "Sir," they adjusted course, Ralvik said. Vecran narrowed his eyes. "They're watching us, studying how we react." A chill ran down the spines of everyone on the bridge. Who was really in control here? The human ship speaks. Then, suddenly, a transmission came through. A deep, calm voice echoed through the bridge speakers. "Galactic Fleet, this is Captain Darius Cole of the UHS Vengeance. Do not interfere. We are not here for war. Unless you force us." The crew froze. A human. A real, living human. Commander Vecran quickly signaled to respond. Captain Cole, you are violating Council space. Explain your presence immediately. A short silence. Then, Cole spoke again. This is your only warning. Do not block our path. The transmission cut off. A deep tension filled the air. The human warship was still coming, its weapons still offline, but its presence alone was an undeniable show of force. The question remained, why were they here? And what would happen next? The galactic fleet remained frozen in uncertainty. Commander Vecren clenched his fists as he processed Captain Cole's words. The humans had finally answered, but their message was not one of diplomacy. It was a warning. The bridge crew exchanged uneasy glances. They had studied human history. They knew what happened when humanity was challenged. The silence following the transmission felt heavier than any battle they had fought before. Vecren took a deep breath. Do not block our path, Cole had said. But what did that mean? Were they on a mission? A rescue? Or was this just a show of strength? The warship still advanced, slow but deliberate. Its engines pulsed with controlled power, a beast just beneath the surface, waiting to strike. The galactic fleet had the advantage in numbers, but somehow, no one felt in control. Sir, what are your orders? Ralvik asked, his voice tense. The entire fleet was waiting for Vecren's decision. Attack, stand down, or something else. He weighed his options. A direct confrontation could be disastrous. The humans were unpredictable. Their warship was unlike anything they had seen before. The sleek, angular hull seemed to absorb all light, its energy signature unreadable by their scanners. It didn't act like a war machine, yet it radiated danger. A transmission request flashed on the screen. Not from the humans, but from the Galactic Council. Vecren hesitated before answering. The holographic image of Supreme Chancellor Mylan appeared, her reptilian features tense. Commander Vecren, explain the situation, she demanded. The human vessel is still advancing. They responded to hails but refused to explain their purpose. Their tone was firm. They claim they are not here for war unless provoked. Mylan's eyes narrowed. Typical humans, always projecting strength. Have they made any aggressive moves? Negative, but they are not stopping either. The Chancellor deliberated for a moment before giving her command. Intercept them. If they do not comply, disable their engines. Vecren stiffened. With respect, Chancellor, that may escalate the situation. Mylan's voice grew sharp. The Council will not tolerate threats. You have your orders. The hologram vanished. Vecren exhaled slowly. The fleet was watching him. He had no choice. He turned to his weapons officer. Target their propulsion systems. Minimal damage. We just need to slow them down. The fleet moved into position. A single command and the battle would begin. The tension was unbearable. Then, just as the targeting systems locked on, the human warship vanished from their screens. Impossible, Ralvik shouted. They were right in front of us. The sensors flickered, struggling to recalibrate. The massive warship had somehow disappeared from every scanner, every tracking device. The bridge fell into stunned silence. Then, a voice cut through the confusion. You were warned. Captain Cole's voice came through the speakers, but this time, it was behind them. The warship had bypassed the entire galactic fleet. It was now on a direct course to the Council's homeworld. Panic erupted across the galactic fleet as alarms blared. The human warship had somehow bypassed their entire defense formation without a trace. Commander Vecren's heart pounded as he struggled to make sense of the impossible. The ship wasn't cloaked. Cloaking technology left distortions. This was something else, something beyond their understanding. Find them. Now, he barked, his voice sharp with urgency. Ralvik's hands flew over the console, scanning every frequency, every signal. Sir, it's already too late. His voice was barely a whisper. The human warship is accelerating toward the Council's homeworld. Estimated arrival in 10 minutes. A cold dread settled over the bridge. The Council's defenses were strong, But if this warship could slip past an entire fleet, it would have no trouble reaching the planetary core. Vecran opened an emergency channel to the Council. Chancellor Mylan's hologram flickered into existence, her usually composed expression twisted with barely concealed fear. "What have you done, Commander?" "They disappeared from our scanners. They moved faster than anything we've ever seen." Vecran clenched his fists. "Chancellor, if we don't act now, we could lose." "We are not losing anything, Commander." Mylan's voice regained its edge. "Prepare planetary defenses. The humans will not reach us." Vecran wanted to argue, but a new transmission cut through all frequencies. The entire galactic network was hijacked, and a single, calm voice filled the air. "This is Captain Cole of the UNS Vanguard. We are here to deliver a message." The image of the human commander appeared on every screen across the fleet, across the council chambers, across the entire planet. His blue eyes were cold, his expression unwavering. "You have crossed too many lines. You have interfered in human affairs for the last time." Silence. The galactic leaders, the fleet, the civilians, everyone held their breath. Then, behind Cole, the image shifted. The Vanguard was no longer alone. Hundreds of warships emerged from the void, materializing like phantoms. The Galactic Council had been watching a single warship they had never imagined. It was a fleet of human warships, poised for war. The Galactic Council chamber was silent. Every leader, every high-ranking officer, and every advisor stared at the massive display in front of them. The human fleet had arrived. Hundreds of warships now surrounded their homeworld, their sleek, dark hulls reflecting the distant stars. Chancellor Mylan's hands trembled as she gripped the podium. How did they get here so fast?" she whispered. No one had an answer. The humans had moved through their defenses without triggering a single alarm. Their fleet had materialized like ghosts, cutting off every possible escape route. A new transmission forced its way onto the Council's network. Captain Cole appeared once again, his expression unreadable. "We are here to correct a mistake." His voice was steady, calm, but behind it was an unspoken threat. Vecran, standing at the edge of the chamber, gritted his teeth. "They mean to retaliate." The chamber erupted into chaos. Some demanded surrender, others called for a counterattack. But deep down, they all knew the truth. The humans had already won. Cole's voice cut through the noise. "We do not seek destruction. We seek understanding. You have meddled in our affairs, sabotaged our progress, and underestimated us at every turn." He leaned forward. "Now you will listen." The display changed, showing recorded footage of alien interference in human colonies, hidden operations, sabotage missions, and political manipulations that the Council had always denied. Mylan's face turned pale. The truth was out. Cole's expression remained cold. "You have one chance. Stay out of humanity's way." His blue eyes locked onto Mylan's. "Or we will show you why that is your only option." The transmission cut. Outside, the human fleet remained still, waiting. The Galactic Council had a choice to make. And they all knew, one wrong move, and the warships hovering above would not hesitate. The Galactic Council chamber was in turmoil. Every species present was shouting over one another, their fear palpable. The humans had arrived in full force, their warships surrounding the homeworld with surgical precision. Every escape route had been cut off. Every defense had been rendered useless. Chancellor Mylan tried to maintain composure, but her voice wavered. "We must negotiate. There is no other option." General Korth, leader of the planetary defense, slammed a fist onto the table. "Negotiate. They've come here to humiliate us, to dominate us. We should fight." A transmission interrupted the chaos. Captain Cole's face appeared on the central screen, his voice devoid of emotion. "Your choices are limited. We do not want unnecessary bloodshed, but we will not tolerate further interference in human affairs." The council members exchanged uneasy glances. They had underestimated humanity. For centuries, they had dismissed them as a lesser species, a race struggling to survive among the stars. But now, the evidence was undeniable. Humanity was beyond anything they had prepared for. Your fleets were rendered useless before they even detected us, Cole continued. Your defenses, obsolete. Your strategies, predictable. He leaned forward. You have two options. Withdraw from human affairs entirely, or face the consequences. The room fell into stunned silence. General Korth's pride flared. And if we refuse? For the first time, Cole's expression changed. A smirk, almost amused, almost pitying. Then you'll understand what it means to challenge us. The transmission ended. Outside, the human fleet remained motionless, waiting. It was a silent ultimatum. Chancellor Malin exhaled shakily. The decision was clear. They could fight and be erased from history, or they could step back and acknowledge a terrifying truth. Humanity had risen, and there was no stopping them now. The Galactic Council chamber was filled with an eerie silence. The ultimatum had been delivered, and now the fate of their civilization hung in the balance. Every leader present knew that defying the humans would mean annihilation. Their fleets had been rendered useless, their defenses shattered without a single human casualty. This was no ordinary war. It was a demonstration of absolute superiority. Chancellor Malin finally spoke, her voice heavy with resignation. We cannot win. Our choices are clear. General Korth clenched his fists, his pride still unwilling to accept defeat. We are the Council. We have ruled this galaxy for millennia. And now, we surrender to a species we once considered insignificant. A holographic screen flickered to life. Outside, the human warships remained perfectly still, their weapons primed but unused. They weren't here for destruction. They were here to prove a point. Captain Cole's voice echoed through the chamber once more. Your time is up. What is your decision? A long silence followed. Mylan looked at the gathered leaders, searching for any sign of resistance. But there was none. Even Korth, despite his anger, remained silent. They had no choice. With a deep breath, Mylan turned to the transmission. We acknowledge humanity's strength. The Council will no longer interfere with your species. The conflict ends here. There was a brief pause. Then, Cole nodded. A wise decision. The transmission cut off, and the human fleet slowly began to withdraw, vanishing into the void as if they had never been there. The council members sat in stunned silence, grappling with what had just occurred. For centuries, they had ruled the galaxy with unquestioned authority. Now, everything had changed. Humanity had not just won a battle. They had reshaped the balance of power forever.